If Sergeant Bergdahl is convicted, I would not send him to prison. I think we have to show some mercy here because the guy has suffered. He did cause his own demise, but he has suffered greatly. No honorable anything, no back pay, but no vengeance either.
It's not vengeance, Bill. It's punishment. Welcome to Give Me Five. I'm not surprised. I mean, look, I like Bill O'Reilly. I think a lot of times he goes out of his way to play it down the middle or to take the opposing point of view when people would expect, the opposite. And I'm not saying he's doing that here because I can't get inside Bill O'Reilly's head. But, for crying out loud, he suffered enough. First of all, we don't know. What do we know about his time in captivity? When he was freed, even though the White House tells us they couldn't notify Congress about the deal because that would have taken 30 days in advance, and they couldn't wait 30 days because he might have been dead. He was so ill. He walked under his own power out of that place. I mean, how ill was he? What do we know? What does Bill know? How much he suffered? I mean, he could say he was in a cage. He also said he wasn't deserting. You believe him? I don't believe him. Now here's more.
Where am I going wrong here, Charles?
Well, it's not a question of vengeance, it's a question of justice. I think there are two distinct issues here. One is, do you bring everyone back if you can? And second, if someone has shown all evidence of desertion, or as the other charge says, misbehavior in the face of the enemy, you must put him on trial. You must come to a conclusion. You must allow military justice to play itself out.
Yeah, absolutely. Justice, punishment, being held accountable for your actions. So anybody who deserts just because maybe he walked freely into the Taliban. Maybe he said, I want to join the Taliban. How do you know how they treated him for 5 years? I mean, come on. Just saying, what are you going to let him go? You're just going to let him go about his life? How many soldiers died, Bill, looking for him? They're dead. How much did they suffer? How much did they lose? And their families? This man must be held accountable. More.
Unlike what you were suggesting, here's the other place you went wrong. There are people who believe that the deal was justified. I am one of them, and I said so at the time. Justified in the sense that you want to bring everyone back, but you don't. This is where Obama went so terribly wrong. He somehow talked himself into believing this was some great triumph, something he would celebrate in the White House. And then he has Susan Rice call Bergdahl a man of honor and distinction, which of course he was not. I say you bring him back, even though the price is very heavy, and you admit that the price is heavy.
Okay, so let me get this straight.
You do it with regret.
All right, now here's O'Reilly to Krauthammer.
If you were the president of the United States, you would have traded 5 top Taliban commanders held in Guantanamo Bay for Sergeant Bergdahl. You would have made that deal.
The Israelis traded 1,000 prisoners for a single corporal. They know what it's like to trade.
Right, so you would have made the deal. See, I would not have made the deal.
I know you wouldn't. I would have made the deal, but I would have issued a statement saying that it is with the deepest regret. This is a terrible day. This is a dark day. We had to release people who we know will go to war against us.
Yeah, well, that's not good. So I disagree with both of them. Here's final.
We release people from Guantanamo every week, every month, without anything in return. And we know that 1/3 of them return to kill Americans if they can. The other thing is we always make trades, and we always know that there is a price to pay. But the reason that you have the principle of getting back every man is because so every American who goes into battle knows that the country will stay with him and have his back, even someone who might be a deserter. But the deserter has to know that he's not going to get a pass. He will be on trial, and he could spend the rest of his life in the brig.
I wouldn't do that, but I certainly, everybody will know what happened there because the guy's devastated anyway. It doesn't do any good to throw him in jail. He's just devastated. His whole life is pretty much over.
Throw him in jail!